This is Vidya with Verity, and I'm Verity Coonan, breathwork facilitator and founder of Vidya Breathwork, and someone who has, for over a decade, sat with people in the realest, rawest moments of their lives. This show is for the ones who are ready to go all the way into the real story, the real body, the real work. Raw conversations, honest truth, and the tools that actually create change. Let's go. Let's take a breath. Big inhale. And as you exhale, soften the jaw, soften the shoulders, let everything settle into your body. I want you to think about 3 moments. The first, you're in a conversation with someone you love and trust completely. You are relaxed, curious, present, maybe laughing. Time feels different, slower, fuller. You feel like yourself. The second, you're running late. Your phone is blowing up. There's so much to do, not enough time. Your shoulders are up. Your jaw is tight. Your breathing is shallow and everything feels urgent. You're snapping at people and you know, and you can't quite stop. The third, you've been under pressure for far too long. You've pushed to exhaustion. You're now sensing something has gone flat. You can't feel much. You're going through the motions. Nothing sounds appealing. You're in the room, but you're not really there. So those are not 3 different moods. Those are the 3 different nervous system states, and there's a map for them. A piece of science that explains not just what they feel like, but why they exist, what purpose they serve, and how to move in between them more easily, effortlessly. Welcome to Vidya with Verity. I'm Verity Coonan, and in this episode, we're talking about the polyvagal theory in plain English. The polyvagal theory was developed by neuroscientist Stephen Hawkes in the 1990s, later made accessible to the rest of us by Deb Dana, a therapist and author whose work I genuinely recommend if this interests you. The core insight is your nervous system doesn't operate in 2 states, on and off, stressed, calm. It operates in 3, and they're in a hierarchy. They evolved in a specific order, and they activate in that order when you feel threatened and come back online in the reverse order when you feel safe again. The 3 states are ventral vagal, sympathetic, and dorsal vagal. It's easy to think of these like a ladder. Ventral vagal is the top of the ladder. It's where connection, creativity, the genuine presence live. So parasympathetic. Sympathetic is in the middle. This is your fight or flight, your urgency, your reactivity. And then you have dorsal vagal, which is the bottom. Dorsal is freeze, shutdown, collapse, going through the motions. So when life is going well and we feel safe, we live at the top. When threat arrives, we move down. And when threat feels inescapable, we're at the bottom. When fight or flight hasn't worked, we drop right down. The reason this matters so much is that you cannot access the resources of a higher state from a lower state. You cannot think your way out from a dorsal shutdown into a ventral connection. You have to move through the sympathetic first, which is why if you've ever felt completely flat and tried to positive think or affirmation your way out of it and felt worse, that's probably why. The ladder doesn't work that way. Ventral vagal is the newest part of our nervous system in evolutionary terms. It's the social engagement system. It evolved specifically for connection with other humans. When you're in your ventral vagal, your face is more expressive, your voice has more range and warmth. You can hear human speech more clearly. Your middle ear muscles literally tune into the frequency of the human voice, and you can make and sustain eye contact. You genuinely feel interested in what the person in front of you is saying and doing. And this is also where your best thinking lives, your most creative ideas, your clearest and quickest decisions. your access to your intuition, the part of you that knows that it's the right thing to do, and not from a place of fear or urgency, but from genuine, wholehearted clarity. And physically, your digestion is working well. Your heart rate is steady and variable in a healthy way, which we've talked about in earlier episodes with the HRV. Your immune system is functioning. Your body is doing the repair and restore work that it can only do when it doesn't think that it's under threat. This is a state that we're building towards. This is what safety actually feels like, not flat or passive, but alive and present and connected. So ask yourself, when did I last feel like this? Who was I with? What was I doing? That memory is important. That is your nervous system's reference point for home. A lot of the times in my events, in my connection exercises, I'm asking the last time that you remember feeling safe. And it's not uncommon for people to not have a reference point. So now we move down one rung in the ladder and you're in your sympathetic state. This is the one everybody knows, your fight or flight response. Heart rate goes up, breathing moves into your chest, muscles get more blood flow, digestion slows down, because when you're running from something, digestion is not the priority. Your vision narrows, your perception is sharper around threat and loses your peripheral. You're not able to zoom out and see the bigger picture in those moments. Yeah, in this state, you are faster, more reactive, more decisive, but also more impulsive, less nuanced, and less able to hear other people's perspectives. You're in your scanning mode. Everything is filtered through. Is it safe or is this a threat? This sympathetic state gets a bad rep because, and I want to push back on that slightly, it has a job. It's kept humans alive for hundreds of thousands of years. The problem isn't that it exists. The problem is that we are now tending to live in this state. When the baseline is the sympathetic activation, the ventral vagal becomes the exception rather than the rule. In high achieving culture, the sympathetic state is often mistaken for productivity. The urgency, the edge, the inability to slow down, it looks like drive. And for a while, it performs like drive until the body can't sustain it anymore. If what I described in the episode on chronic vigilance, the always on, the high threshold for discomfort, if that resonated with you, you're likely spending a significant amount of time in a sympathetic activation state. And your body is paying the cost, even when your output is not showing it. Yeah. And then there is the bottom of the ladder, the dorsal vagal. This is the oldest part of the nervous system, the one where we share the most ancient vertebrates. It's the immobilization response. When fight or flight isn't working, when the threat feels inescapable, the system doesn't keep burning energy on a battle it can't win. It simply goes offline. In animals, this looks like playing dead. In humans, it looks like something far more subtle and far more common than people realize. Dorsal vagal feels like numbness, a flatness where emotions used to be. Going through the motions, not being able to feel excited about things that used to excite you. It feels like heaviness in the body, not tired exactly, but weighted, like you're carrying the weight of the world. And a kind of grey quality to the days, but also to people's energy. You know, when you look at someone and they look lifeless, like they've had a tough day or hard day. Their skin looks a little bit grey. Their eyes don't light up. They're not bright. But they're in the room, but they're not quite present. Or they're struggling to care, even when you think that they should be caring about this stuff. A lot of people spend time here and call it depression. Some of it is depression, but some of it is a nervous system that has been in a sympathetic state for so long that it finally did the only thing it knows how, is just to shut down. And I told you in another episode about the times that I've been frozen laying on the floor when I got told that my partner was murdered. There's lots of moments in my life. We've been through all of that. I'm sure there's moments in your life where you have not been able to feel or you felt you weren't quite present. That's a dorsal vagal shutdown. And it's not because perhaps you're sad or panicking. Sometimes you're just gone. And even when I hold space for other people's nervous systems, sometimes mine just says enough. Thankfully, it doesn't happen very often anymore. It still happens, still human. So if you recognize yourself in flatness or numbness, or you just feel like you're going through the motions of life and you're not excited by life, I want you to hear this clearly. It's not a weakness. That is your nervous system protecting you. And perhaps you've been through a lot. It's protecting you with the only tools it knows how or had left at this point. The work is not to judge it. The work is to gently, slowly bring it back up the ladder. This is something that's possible to climb back up. Maybe you're wondering, how do you actually move between the states? And why does it matter which one you're starting from? You can only move on one rung at a time. You cannot leap from complete shutdown to complete calm. The nervous system just doesn't work that way. If you're in a collapse and you try to force yourself into presence and connection, into meditation, into a social situation, into performing calm, it will often make things worse. The system doesn't feel met. It just feels completely bypassed. So from dorsal, the path goes up through sympathetic, which sounds counterintuitive perhaps, but what it means in practice is movement, gentle, manageable activation, a walk, splashing cold water on your face, humming, a physiological sigh, something that stimulates the vagus nerve directly through vibrations in the chest and throat. Even like gentle rocking, something that wakes the body up slowly. There's the butterfly tapping where you go one on each shoulder. Just signaling slowly to the body that it's safe to come back online without overwhelming it. From sympathetic, your fight or flight, the path to ventral goes through the exhale. The extended exhale, when you breathe out longer than you breathe in, you activate your parasympathetic. You are literally using the breath to pull yourself up the ladder. You can do 4 counts in and 8 counts out. Do that for 3 minutes. Notice what shifts. I always say about 7 breaths, because by breath 3, I'm very clear on where my body is at. If I'm like, oh, hurry up, I know that I'm in my sympathetic. If it feels relaxed in the body, I'm like, yes, there we go. We're on our way up. And from ventral, once you're there, the work is to stay, to notice what it feels like, to build that reference point over and over again. Start to recognize it as home rather than realizing you need to take a big breath, or an accident that you've arrived. Oh, I can't believe I was so calm. Or you felt it for the first time. That then you want to make this your home, feeling zen, feeling calm, relaxed in your body. Notice everything that's happening in your body when you are. The Vidya app has these practices mapped out for you. There's activating practices, there's down regulation practices. The whole purpose of this app and Vidya, the why behind it, is for you to get to know your own body. For so long, I searched outside of myself and did every certification known to man, only to realize once you actually take the time to understand this, you do have the answers within. So this gives you a map that you can actually use daily that fits into your daily life, that will help you develop over time a really deep understanding of yourself and your own nervous system. This framework, these 3 states, it's the one that I come back to more than almost anything else in this work. I go over the nervous system extensively in my facilitator training. It's probably why I recommend every human does the training, because knowing your nervous system is kind to yourself and everybody in your life. And once you have it, you can't unsee it in yourself, in other people, everything around you, the rooms that you walk in. It becomes a new kind of fluency in your life. If this has hit a nerve for you and you know there's others in your life that also need to have a really good understanding of their nervous system, share this episode and I will see you next week. Ciao. That's it for this week. If something landed for you, please share it with someone who's genuinely ready to hear this. And I would love if you have 2 minutes to leave us a review on wherever you listen to your podcast, because this genuinely helps people find us. You can find me on Instagram at Verity Coonan. And if you're interested in becoming a breathwork facilitator or joining the Vidya app, I'll link it all in the show notes. See you soon.